do you want? What do you want? What can I possibly do? It's 1:50 in the morning. What can you possibly expect me to do? Hello. How's it going? Good evening. Jesus, Johnny. That is what I call a dedicación. Dedicación. Seen the Last of Us show? I have not. Not super interested in it either, to be honest with you. Not my cup of tea. Make you a Navi already? Wasn't there like a group of people who like fell into depression after watching the first Avatar? I seem to remember news stories about that. Like they watched the first Avatar and then they were like, man, I can't live in the Avatar world. And it made them very sad. I've been watching trash TV the last month to like just recover from good old Breaking Bad. Been watching trash. Total trash. You guys have no idea the level of trash either. Like when you think trash TV, what do you think? What's dude? How did you fucking nail that, dude? How did you nail it? First guess, and it's fucking dead on balls. Yeah, dude, America's Next Top Model, dude. Nah, the Flavor of Love is a step above America's Next Top Model, for sure. I can't believe somebody guessed it. But I guess it is kind of like the fucking epitome of trash TV, though, isn't it? It's like they take a bunch of hyperactive, like late teen, early 20s women and then try and force a bunch of like conflict between them. At least it's not Masked Singer. I mean, I don't know. I've never even seen an episode of that one, so. But America's Next Top Model, dude. That's the one. Although I think I'm done with it. I think I'm finished with the top model. Do you get invested in the drama? Not really. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is about that kind of TV, that kind of show. Hear about Eden Night? No. What do I need to know about Eden Night? Let's see. Forced detransition drove a young trans woman to suicide. Oh boy. Oh boy. This week you're going to hear a lot about the story of Eden Night. A young trans girl committed suicide rather than undergo forced detransition. Over the summer, Eden Knight, a student living in Georgia, was contacted by agents from private intelligence firm. These agents had been hired by Knight's parents in Saudi Arabia to bring their daughter back to the country to undergo forcible detransition. What? Yeah. This is depressing and sad. Yeah, this type of shit. This type of shit is getting a little bit spooky, is it not? Like, I've been kind of like taken aback over the last, I don't know, few months at like how the rhetoric seems to have escalated in the whole kind of anti-trans shit. I mean, yeah. There's always been people that you can, if you dig around, you can find people saying like horrible shit. But it's starting to like hit the mainstream in a real fucking weird way. You got like Matt Walsh, yeah, straight up genocidal rhetoric and shit. And it's been like it used to be you had to go off of mainstream platforms to find that type of shit. You had to go into the land of like anonymous commenters and shit like that to hear nastiness. And now it's just like, oh, it's right out there on the main platforms. It's right out there. Like, let me look at Matt Walsh's shit. Matt Walsh. Matt Walsh. Matt Walsh. Cry all you want, trans activists. You started this fight. You. It was you and your existence and your desire for equal and fair treatment under the law that started this shit, trans people. And this type of shit is like right out there, promoted as fuck on YouTube, fully monetized. Just like absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely fucking ridiculous this shit is. And of course, his chat replay is disabled because we all know what would be in the chat replay. We got to try and catch like a live premiere of a Matt Walsh trans video one of these days just to see the kind of fucking chuds that are being drawn like a moth to a flame to this bearded fucking weirdo's shit. He's obsessed with a particular trans woman. Which one? Particular trans woman. There's no genocide, but we're waging war against their poison. It's like, well, there was a time in fucking Nazi Germany when there was no genocide yet, too. And if you really think about it, the rhetoric that came out of the Nazi Party and the lead up to their kind of crusade against all things Jewish was oh, there's no sound. Well, I'll fix that in a sec. Um, was this idea that there were like like the Jews were these feminine kind of intellectual types that were looking to poison their children's minds and shit with an ideology. Starting to sound a little fucking similar. Starting to sound a little similar there. I mean, I think you should be afraid of what this is going towards. What's shocking to me is that this shit is being so easily platformed. Like, it's not shocking to me that these types of hateful people exist. They've always existed. They always will exist. As long as human beings are a diverse group of animals, there will be people like Matt Walsh. It's what's crazy to me is that this dude runs a fucking show that is mainstreamed. You know what I mean?
They kick and scream. What they have to remember is that they started this fight. Also, Tucker Carlson releases the footage from January 6th that the media in D.C. don't want us to see. Some of it is truly shocking. We'll play some of it for you today. And Walmart will be closing all of its stores.
All right, we don't care.
The speech at all. He only uttered one single phrase, and all the rest of the context, everything else he said, was irrelevant noise. As they breathlessly and hysterically reported, Knowles called for the eradication of transgenderism. Actually, that's not what they reported. They reported that he called for the eradication of transgender people. According to the headlines in various outlets and the panicked social media posts of countless trans activists and other leftists, he had explicitly advocated for the mass execution of the transgender community itself. It was a mask-off moment, they declared. The right was finally revealing its true intentions. They're setting up camps as we speak. The extermination is about to begin. And they got all of that from this statement. Watch.
There can be no middle way in dealing with transgenderism. It is all or nothing. If transgenderism is true, if men really can become women, then it's true for everybody of all ages.
See, this is what I'm saying. He just tried to downplay this, but it's clear what he's talking about. He just clarified what he thinks transgenderism is, which is people that are born biologically male transitioning to women, and one would think vice versa. Although that seems to be the one that bothers them the most. For whatever reason, it's trans women that get most of the hate from these fucking people. It's just like, yeah, all or nothing. It's just like, how do you downplay this? It has to be eradicated. How are you going to go about eradicating transgenderism?
If transgenderism is false, as it is, if men really can't become women, as they cannot, then it's false for everybody too. And if it's false, then we should not indulge it, especially since that indulgence requires taking away the rights and customs of so many people. If it is
what rights and customs are being taken away from somebody that isn't trans by the existence of trans people? See, this is Nazi shit. This is them saying they're coming for us. It's like, what? With what? They're coming for our rights and customs. It's like, what? What rights and customs would you be talking about, Captain?
Is false, then for the good of society, and especially for the good of the poor people who have fallen prey to this confusion, transgenderism must be eradicated from public life entirely. The whole preposterous ideology at every level.
So they lied. It's no surprise that they lied. The media quite often lies. And as I've warned you many times, trans activists in particular lie about literally everything all the time. They lie to themselves and about everything else. So they will certainly lie and say that Michael Knowles pushed for a holocaust of trans people. when in fact he called for the defeat of an ideology, an idea. You know, if he was saying that he wanted to work.
The problem is that the idea that you're claiming he asked to defeat is the existence of human beings. Like, this is the type of shit. I don't understand how to put this in a way that people like this will understand. This is not just like an idea. It's not like saying, oh, the sky is orange. This is the existence of human beings that you're talking about. You're talking about it needing to be eradicated from public life. How? See, notice there'll be no means. He won't discuss the means because he knows that will trigger him being fucking deplatformed. He knows he can't come out and say what he wants to say. And so they've got a pussyfoot. They've got to play around with this fucking idea that you can separate trans people from what he calls transgenderism.
For the eradication of malaria, that would not mean that he was murdering people with malaria. In fact, the only reason that you would want to eradicate.
Yeah, but you wouldn't say that. You wouldn't say the eradication of people with malaria. You wouldn't use the word eradication and people in the same sentence when it comes to malaria. You would say eradicate malaria. Right?
Malaria is because you feel compassion towards the people with malaria. Okay, you wouldn't, if you didn't care about those people, then you say, well, let's let them die of malaria. In the same way, a person who truly loves those who've fallen into transgenderism should want to eradicate the ism for their sake and for the sake of society at large. But is a term like eradicate over the top? Does it have a needlessly militant tone?
Yes. 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 It is. Yes. It's needlessly militant. Yes, there are hundreds of thousands of your chud-like zombie-esque followers that know exactly what you're saying. And yes, this will lead to the death of trans people. I'm not saying they're setting up the camps, bro. I'm saying that this type of rhetoric being piped into the mainstream will lead to the death of people. This will lead to people being stripped of their rights. This will lead to people dying.
No, definitely not. The tone may be militant, but not needlessly so. We are, after all, in a war, and lives are at stake. We are in a war against the most deranged ideology ever invented by the human race. Plain and simple.
Nazism. I agree. We're at war with the most deranged ideology ever created by a human being. Nazism. Total fucking fascism is what's happening. Yeah, you're right.
We are fighting to eradicate the ideological equivalent of a parasitic infestation. And the parasite, gender ideology, seeks to not only brainwash a generation of children, not only degrade and appropriate womanhood, but also, and manhood, by the way, but also, and most fun,
degrade and appropriate womanhood. This is, I don't know, man. Put me in a fucking rocket and fire me off of this planet, please. I don't want to deal with this shit anymore. Why do they care so much? It isn't about them, because everything has to be about them. The problem that Matt Walsh has, if you set aside all this rhetoric, is that white Christian men are not centered in society in the way that they used to be 50, 60 years ago. That's his real problem. He won't come out and say it. White, straight Christian men aren't the absolute beating heart of fucking everybody's concern the way that they were 60 fucking years ago. And that's always been the problem with these chuds. 100%.
Fundamentally, it seeks to eat away at truth itself, or if it cannot devour the truth, then at least it will destroy our ability to recognize the truth for what it is. Eradication of gender ideology, total defeat, is the only option because there's no compromise with it. There's no living side by side with it. There's no finding common.
You see what I mean? You're talking about an idea. You're not living side by side with an idea. Ideas live in people's heads. You're living side by side with trans people. And you're saying that no quarter can be given. This dancing around, oh, we're not using genocidal rhetoric while using genocidal rhetoric. I gotta be honest with you, dude. I'm not the type of guy that calls for like, oh, censor this shit. But the fact that YouTube holds itself up as this inclusive fucking place with this long ass fucking TOS about hate speech and shit lets this bearded fuck make money on this platform sickens me to my fucking core, dude. Send this chud into the back rooms where he belongs.
Common ground. The gender ideologue wants to destroy your culture and your children.
See? This is Nazi shit. This is exactly what fucking Hitler said about the Jews. They want to destroy your children. They want to destroy the minds of your children. They want to take your culture and bastardize it. But we're not using genocidal rhetoric. We're just using the exact same rhetoric used to justify the Holocaust. But it's not Jews. It's Judaism. That's the problem. See? We're not talking about getting rid of the unfortunate people that have been tricked into becoming Jews. We're talking about Judaism. See, eradicate the ism.
You will either rise up against it or lose everything to it. I mean, how do you compromise with someone who wants to sterilize and castrate children?
Who's doing that? Who's sterilizing and castrating children? Nobody. This just isn't happening.
Do you agree to only sexually mutilate half of the kids? Is that the compromise? Or
oh, you care so much about sexual mutilation, but I bet you're fucking, if you've got a son, I bet you snipped his fucking foreskin, didn't you? This is what I'm talking about. These people are so fucking backwards. And the fact that this type of fucking rhetoric is popping up now. Don't know why you're doing this to yourself. I don't know either. I mean, it's out there. What are you supposed to do? Am I supposed to pretend it's not there?
how do you compromise with someone who wants to rewrite biology textbooks to teach students that men can get pregnant? What is the compromise position between men can get pregnant and men cannot get pregnant?
Trans men can get pregnant. That's that you're leaving out one part, one issue. You're leaving out one descriptor here. This whole sex is not gender thing, Johnny, is like it's step one. It's level one. It's the tutorial level of being an empathetic human being, and these fucks can't get past it. They keep dying on sex and gender being the same thing. It's like, no, it never has been, by the way. This is not a new fucking idea.
Okay. When it comes to what we're going to tell people, what we are going to teach kids in school, what idea is going to be promoted by society, between those two options, what's the middle ground? There isn't one. That's why this is a zero-sum contest. Either we destroy gender ideology, eradicate it from public life, utterly defeat it, burn it to the ground, and dance around its ashes, or it does the same to us and to our children. That's the point. But there's another point too, and this is something that I want to say specifically to the trans activists who are now crying and panicking and hysterically ranting about imaginary genocides. I say they're doing that now. They didn't just start doing it now. They've been doing it all along. This is all they ever do. But I want you, if you're in that group, I want you to listen to this part very closely. Please always remember this. You started it. You started it. So I see you on social media and on the news and out marching the street, crying your crocodile tears and claiming that you're being set upon by fascist right-wingers who won't let you just live your lives in peace. What do we ever do to you, you cry? Why are you so angry at us? Well, let me answer that question. You see, the rest of us were living our lives. We were minding our own business when you came along and demanded that we abandon everything we know about fundamental physical reality for your sake. That's what you did.
No. Wrong. No. No. I've never heard a trans activist or a trans person ever advocate for anybody abandoning everything they know about physical reality. See, this is the type of amped up rhetoric that leads people to the conclusion of eradication. He acts like like trans people showed up and they're like, if you throw an apple into the air, it won't come down. Gravity not real. No, they didn't even say the things that he's alluding to, that biological sex doesn't exist. The only thing, and it's true, by the way, the only thing that has been called into question is this idea of gender being tied to biology. That's it. The only thing. How is it that you're banned, but this fuck gets a microphone? I mean, c'est la vie, right?
You claim the right to walk into whatever bathroom you want, whatever locker room, whatever sports team. Nope.
No. Is that, by the way, is that all of physical reality to you? People using bathrooms? Like, can we just get gender neutral bathrooms like everywhere else in the fucking world has and be done with this? Do you really think that people are going through the fucking crazy detransition so that they can ogle women or men in the bathroom? Are you fucking kidding me? It's like arguing with a 6-year-old. It really is. The conservative understanding of the world as it exists today is on par with your average fucking 6-year-old. Everything's black and white. Everything's got clown makeup on.
Nobody else has ever had that right. Nobody else has ever had that right to just do whatever they want, go anywhere they want. But you wanted it. You tried to restructure human society to make it affirming to you personally. You wanted to force the whole world to bend to your narcissism. You tried to put words in our mouths. You tried to control how we speak, even when you're not in the room. Your ego is so out of control that you even tried to take possession of parts of the English language, like you can own them as a pet. You waved that hideous, ridiculous flag in our face and wouldn't stop waving it. You demanded not just tolerance, but celebration. You did all of that. That was you. And now you cry victim because some of us have simply answered no? You made demands. Many people surrendered to those demands immediately, but some of us, a few of us, are refusing. And that makes you what? A victim? You bullied most people into submission right away, but now you want to compare yourselves to Jews in the Holocaust because a few of us can't be controlled so easily? Well, that is just a testament to your boundless narcissism. It didn't have to be this way. If you were really interested in privacy, if you really simply wanted the ability to live your life as you wished, then you could have had that.
No, because you see, people like you are sitting in the state houses. People like you are sitting in the Congress. People like you are sitting on the judicial bench. So you can't live privately as you want. That's the problem. The problem is that there's two sets of rules, and there should be one. The problem is that trans people are denied health care in situations where non-trans people wouldn't be. The situation is trans people's very identities are in state law being erased. That's the problem. So this whole like claim, oh yeah, we were fine with being tolerant. If you were fine with being tolerant, why the constant onslaught of anti-trans legislation? Riddle me that.
So you could have had that. If you had just said, well, I'm going to live as though I'm the opposite sex. I'm going to tell everyone that I'm the opposite sex, and I'm going to change my name and how I dress, and I'm going to do all of this because it's what I want to do and it's how I want to live. Well, if you just said that, you could have done that.
No. Wrong. No, they couldn't. Like, would that the world were that accepting. But it's people like you that stood in the way of that. And have stood in the way of that for the entire history of the struggle. It goes back way farther than Twitter last year, by the way. This struggle relates to the general struggle of gay and queer acceptance, which has been ongoing since all of human history. In all of recorded fucking human history, there have been struggles to suppress people who are different. And it's been people like you with your Al Borland fucking shirt on that have been spearheading that shit. So if trans people threw the first punch, then why the legislation?
I personally still would not have agreed with your lifestyle, and I personally would not have gone along with the charade, and I would not have affirmed the lie. I would not have.
Nobody's saying you have to. See, that's the thing. He acts like people are holding a gun to his head and forcing him to speak in a certain way. That's not what this is about. This is about halting this insane march towards genocide that conservatives have been fucking perpetrating. That's what this is about. This is not about nobody's going to force you to call somebody by their preferred fucking pronouns. It's just not going to happen. You want to be a dick? You've got the right to be a dick. You don't have the right to take away basic human rights from an entire class of people.
But society generally would have left you alone, as you claim you want. And I know that because that was already the experience of the very small minority of trans-identified people in this country up until the last decade or so.
Can we actually talk about something besides trans stuff for once. Notice you don't have any fucking ideas. Throw something out there, dick. Talk about whatever the fuck I want, bro. Don't get banned up in here. Don't do it. Don't make me do it to you.
So prior to this past decade, this tiny group of people basically lived the lifestyle they wanted to live, and there wasn't much attempt to stop them from doing so. We didn't really talk about it. It wasn't discussed. It was very much on the fringes. But that wasn't good enough for you. In your vanity, you couldn't be satisfied merely with the ability to live how you want. You demanded the celebration. You needed not just the ability to practice your lifestyle, but you needed a parade following behind you and cheering you on the whole time. And you needed affirmation. My God, your obsessive, unquenchable need for affirmation. Have you noticed that nobody else walks around every day demanding that the entire world affirm them every second?
Oh, really? Oh, really? Oh, really? So the MAGA chuds that make up your fucking fan base aren't running around and asking for their fucking entire existence to be affirmed day after day after day? They're not piling over each other to break into the fucking Capitol to try and subvert democracy because they feel like their little feelers aren't getting stroked. This whole thing isn't about you being mad that the world is going one way and your fucking chud ideology is going another. The fucking level of projection, dude. The absolute level of projection. What describes fucking conservative people better than needing a parade of people behind them, affirming them every sense of the way, deferring to them in every fucking argument, deferring to them in every subject? Dude, that's the best descriptor of fucking conservatism I can think of.
No one ever did that. No one has lived their life that way, walking around looking for affirmation. None of the rest of us even think about that. The idea that you're going to walk out your...
Bullshit. You think about it every day. Isn't it your side is like, why aren't they flying the American flag no more? Why ain't this football player standing up for the national anthem? Why are these brands putting gay people in their fucking commercials? That ain't me, man. Why? Isn't your fucking wing the wing of the fucking crybabies that are constantly needing every piece of media, every commercial, every sporting event, every national holiday to conform to whatever their idea is of it? Or am I wrong? Yeah, burn the Nikes. This fucking dude. Come on, man. Come on, buddy.
Your door and you need to be affirmed by people? Affirmed? How is that anyone's job to affirm you?
Yeah, good question. Great fucking question. Maybe you ought to ask it of your audience.
You decided to do that. You couldn't just believe whatever you believed about yourself. Nobody can stop you from having a belief about yourself. You wanted the rest of us to believe it too. You wanted to force us to believe it. You wanted society to be restructured around your self-perceptions, and you wanted our children. You wanted to induct countless children into your confusion.
Oh my God. You could say this very fucking thing about evangelical Christians. This very thing. The only difference is they're literally doing it. Does he really think that there's like some meeting somewhere where we're like gay and trans and bi and non-binary people are getting together and going like, how do we induct children? No, that's you. That's you at your church. How do we get more kids? How do we infect the minds of more children before they've developed the capacity to think for themselves? That's the ongoing struggle of the Christian right.
baptize them into it so that the confusion you foster in them might affirm the confusion you harbor in your own minds. You pretended that you wanted freedom, but you had that.
No.
You wanted.
No. No. Nope. 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 You can't claim that everybody had the freedom to be what they are and sponsor constant bans of gender affirming healthcare and call for the constant government action against people who aren't like you. You can't make that. You can't, like, just the self-refuting nature of this makes me want to fucking, oh my God, it makes me want to stuff that fucking stuffed walrus up this dude's ass. Can I stuff Johnny the Walrus up this dude's fucking ass, please? Are my rights to stuff that stuffed walrus up this dude's ass going to be infringed or what?
More. Okay, there were no laws. There were no laws saying that if you're a man and you want to put on a dress and walk around, no one was going to put you in jail for that.
Huh? Well, I guess the last 100 years of human history didn't happen. Say what? And see, this guy and this type of ideology preys on historical ignorance. So the Stonewall never happened. So the gay rights movement in the 70s and 80s never happened. Nobody's ever been dragged away or thrown in jail because of their sexuality or gender identity. Right? Wrong.
Now, you had the freedom, but you wanted a lot more than that. You wanted to reshape our entire culture in your image. You didn't just want your own lifestyle. You wanted us to participate in it with you.
Yeah. Yeah. Christians. This applies to you. See, if Christians were happy, there's freedom of religion in this country. Christians were happy just quietly doing their own thing. Hey, you want to fucking dress up every Sunday and go to some weird fucking building built specifically for you to roll your eyes back in your head and jump around in praise of a deity that doesn't exist? That's fine. The problem is you want us to believe it. You want us to participate in it with you, and you want our children to participate in it with you. You're the problem. You are the people that have been endlessly obsessed with restructuring, quote unquote, restructuring society to fit your image.
That's what this comes down to. You are demanding our participation. And what we are saying to you, some of us, is no. Can you get that through your heads? We are allowed to say no.
What participation is being demanded of you? What participation? Give me one example. Are you talking about people getting mad at you when you misgender people or say transphobic things in public? I mean, sorry, you don't get to control people's reactions to your bullshit. You got the right to say it. You don't got the right to control people's reactions. Is that what you're trying to do? You trying to say that people can no longer call into question your opinions when you spout them out of your fucking hole? Sorry, that's not the way it works. So outside of that really shitty, non-applicable example, who's forcing you to do fucking anything?
We are not going to participate. You are the mouse who wanted a cookie, and you were given the cookie. And
oh my God, are you talking like, is your audience a bunch of 12-year-olds? If you give a mouse a cookie, like, is this the depth of your referential humor? Have you tested this out and found out that you can go like, oh, we can do if a mouse asks for a cookie, but once we get to one fish, two fish, red fish, blue fish, that's a little too fucking dense. Are you talking to a group of fucking school children here?
You ate it, but then you wanted to eat everything else in the house too. Some people object, finally object. And you break down in tears like a child who has to leave the playground.
Oh my God. Oh my God, dude. the biggest bunch of crybabies, especially in the last like 5 or 6 years, has got to be Republicans. Oh my fucking God. This whole fucking video is just a whine fest. Just whining about your inability to control fucking physical reality.
You push too far, way too far.
If you give a mouse a cookie. Come on, bro. Oh, yeah, I remember that one. I remember that one. I read that book. See, what happens is the mouse goes, hey, I just want a cookie. But then once the mouse got the cookie, he wanted something else. Hey, I just want some chicken. Hey, I just want a whole pizza. I get that. I get that reference.
And now this is the pushback. In summary, you wanted this fight. You asked for it. You demanded it. And now you have it. Now you have it. Whether you like it or not.
Oh my fucking God, man. Put me on a rocket ship and get me the fuck up out of here. Get me out, man. Come on, man. Give a mouse a cookie. Oh, boy. Well, why can't there be prayer in school? Why are we allowing science teachers to teach evolution? Why? They're just trying to take away our culture. They're just trying to take away our culture, man. I mean, I gotta be honest with you. I'm not even really enraged. Not genuinely by this. I just find this to be incredibly sad and more than a little scary. If I'm being honest with you, I find this type of shit to be incredibly, incredibly sad. Why can't we have religious displays on government property? You can. As long as everybody else gets a chance to too. Wait a minute. No, why can't we just have our religion exclusively on government property? If you wanted your freedom, you could have had it. You wanted your freedom, you could have had it. Then the Eden Night story comes. A person whose freedom was being threatened directly because of their gender identity. I don't go on Twitter, so no, I didn't. But it's not shocking to me that that's happening, especially with the climate being what it is, the political climate being what it is. Oh, yeah, nobody's coming to save us. So it's time. It's time to build a rocket ship. Let's do it. Come on. If we all put our heads together, we ought to be able to build a giant colony ship and get it into space. Come on. What are we waiting for, guys? We're waiting for a few fucking astrophysicists and rocket scientists and shit to join us? Nah, man. Look, when you get people together, all their knowledge adds up into more knowledge. We could do it. You be the cook, I'll be the janitor. I'll be the happy-go-lucky janitor that mops up every day. Can we take our pets? Case-by-case basis. Like, if you've just got a cute little dog or something, yeah, bring them. But if you've got, like, some annoying-ass bird that squawks day in and day out, or some hideous collection of spiders or some shit, I'm going to have to say no. You got a cute dog or a cute cat or a cute axolotl, then yeah, I mean, you can bring it. Yeah, we bring pot for sure. Bring all the pot. Cockatoos allowed. Cockatoos pretty fucking loud, bro. We might have to drop you off somewhere if you want to bring your cockatoo. Yeah. You could sit on the captain's shoulder or whatever. I'm fine with that, I guess. Trump started the Space Force, Paul. Not even space is safe. I mean, all the more reason we got to get out now before the Space Force really, gets its shit together. As it stands now, I'm pretty sure, correct me if I'm wrong, we haven't left low Earth orbit in like 50 plus years, right? Like, we haven't had a manned space flight that's gone out of low Earth orbit in 50 years. So, isn't that sad? God, man, I don't think about that very often. I'm trying to think. I think I'm fucking correct. That is sad. We went to the moon in the 70s, right? Or the late 60s. And since then, we haven't sent a manned mission to the moon or anywhere else. 50 years. Think about if every one of those 50 years we focused ourselves on pushing farther. We'd be on Mars. There'd be a manned colony on Mars right now. And we'd be doing trade with it and probably starting the long, slow process of geoengineering that planet to make it more habitable. We'd have permanent installations on the moon and Mars, easy, if we'd had focused on that as a species. But we got a little distracted with waging war on one another and capitalistically exploiting the shit out of everybody to the benefit of a smaller and smaller, by the way, few. No human has left low Earth orbit since 1972. Yeah. So 50 fucking years and change. $50 years of stagnation. Not a fucking joke. Like, what a fucking joke. Maybe that's the great filter. Every alien world eventually develops streaming services and social media. Yeah, I don't know. It could be. It could be. But I think that paradigm is on the chopping block. I think it'll be one of the first things that they destroy when shit starts to unravel. And who knows, that might be happening now with the bank failures that have happened in the last couple of days. Silicon Valley Bank and a number of other smaller banks. I think 2 other smaller banks have completely failed and basically got like the same style bailout that Goldman Sachs got. How does that work? Well, see, they use exotic investments, like weird investment vehicles that nobody that isn't a fucking multi PhD in economics can even unpack, to legally steal money from average people and appropriate it for themselves. And that hums along like normal. And when the inherent flaws in that kind of a system get too much for the system to bear, and the purveyor of these exotic investment instruments goes belly up, then the federal government steps in and steals even more money from average people to pay back the debt that's owed by these companies. Yep. Wealth flows upward and violence flows downward along the social hierarchy. That's always the way it works. The worthless few scalp money from the many, and then oppress the anger that comes from that with direct threats of violence. That's exactly the way that our society, that's the way that everybody's, every human being is living under that type of paradigm right now. There's not a place on the planet that you can go that's free of it. The feds are the bank's bank, and we're the feds' bank. Isn't that great? I mean, we don't all just go along with it. We're forced to go along with it at the barrel of a gun. We're forced under penalty of spending the rest of your life in a literal rape torture dungeon to go along with it. Like, this idea that it's easy to imagine that human beings are just too unaware of what's going on to give a fuck, too distracted, blah, 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 blah. But as it stands, the people that spend all fucking day, every single day on social media are few and far between. Most people have lives outside of the social media paradigm that we can observe. And as such, you know, I think a lot of people are aware on the base level that it's a raw deal. Paul, do you ever go on TJ's Discord? I don't do Discord, man. I've got Discord PTSD, bro. That's why, like, I haven't really decided whether or not I'm going to set up a Discord server for this. I think it would be really fun to kind of talk to you guys, maybe. But like, Discord PTSD for sure, dude. For fucking sure. Dude, I gotta tell you, man, Discord is the most Game of Thrones. It's the closest thing you can come to LARPing Game of Thrones for real. I'm not even fucking joking with you, dude. Discord is ridiculous. Fucking ridiculous. The people, dude, there is triple backstabs, quadruple crosses, literally like secret cabals that are set up elsewhere on the website so they can get together and destroy something from within, usurpations, outright like stealing of fucking servers from people. It is a goddamn, dude, you have no fucking clue, but this is going behind the scenes of any, like, that's why I don't know. Like, I don't know what contingency plans TJ has come up with to have his be humming along, but entropy, man. I'm telling you. Keynesian levels of treachery, yes. Dude, way beyond Keynesian, because this shit actually works. You know, like, these plans are actually real. They actually come to some sort of fruition. It's fucking nuts, dude. I used to take part in like running and helping to moderate and helping to set the policy on the old DP Discord that existed. And I had the same position when for a brief time at the beginning of DFF it had a Discord, and like, I knew never fucking again, bro. If I can't even remember all the double and triple crosses, and if I could, you wouldn't believe them, dude. You wouldn't believe there were people who were like triple double agents who were spending their time plotting against the server with another group of people, but talking to me and the other moderators about it like they were our inside person. But then come to find out they were spreading misinformation to distract from the real plot, and then ended up telling us about it. That is a quadruple agent. Dude, that's a quadruple agent. Dude, it's beyond reality show shit. There's never been a quintuple cross that deep on any fucking reality show. A quadruple agent. Was it just people fighting to become mods? Yep. Yep. I wish I could tell you there was something else at stake, but that's it. I want to be the person that has all the powers to make everybody else shut up. No, I want to be the person that has all the powers to make everybody else shut up. Could you tell us about that? Like I said, I've put that shit out of my mind. All that's left is the trauma scars now, you know? All that's left is the sinking feeling every time I have to fucking jump on a Discord. Not a gotcha. You used to believe that nuclear power was good. Then you did your research and advocated against it. What made you change your mind? I looked into the history of nuclear disasters. A lot of people that think that they begin and end at Chernobyl, but there's 3 Mile Island, there's Fukushima Daiichi, there's a number of others which names elude me now. And these are just the ones that we've been told about, by the way, because radiation, as it stands, is an invisible killer. So that's what changed my mind, was looking into the history of nuclear disasters and the ongoing risk of nuclear disaster that's posed by having these power plants. Yeah, everybody forgets Godzilla. That kind of people should never be mods. I mean, see, the thing is that the Game of Thrones, dude, it turns good people into bad people. It turns honest, forthright, good-hearted people into politicians, into ruthless, cutthroat politicians, dude. Aren't they safe if they're properly maintained? You can trust the government with regulatory compliance. You are in good hands. Yeah, right. Do you think the potential of nuclear energy would warrant the development of a safer way to harness it? or at this point is that just an impossibility? It's not. Like, look, if you look at the amount of nuclear power plants, and if you look into and try to understand, at least in a layman's way, some of the fail safes that go into making them, like, I'm not saying that these places aren't necessarily safe. The human element is still involved. Human beings, like Chernobyl was preventable. 3 Mile Island was preventable. Fukushima Daiichi was preventable. All of those three, maybe to a lesser extent Fukushima, but there were some stupid design flaws with Fukushima, like building a nuclear power plant right on a fucking coast that's tsunami prone, that's run by diesel generators that are at ground level. Like, that's the backup power system to keep the machine running is diesel generators that are at ground level in the tsunami zone, So it's like, that's the human element that I'm talking about. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Let's just take advantage of the alternative forms of energy collection that we have now. Let's start using wind. Let's start exploiting tidal and geothermal. Let's start exploiting photovoltaic. Let's get it done. Let's start work on building a giant fucking power plant in space. A giant solar collector in space. That's what I'm talking about. Power plant in space, orbital tether. Boom. Power the whole fucking planet. Like, enough solar energy hits the surface of the planet to satisfy the power needs of the Earth, something like 15 million times over. It's like, let's get it. And let's keep getting it. Like, let's keep working on the efficiency of batteries. Let's get it. Let's get it. Yeah, I know that Derek Jensen is not a fan of renewable energy, although I would argue that Bright Green Lies, and yes, I've read the book. I would argue that that's more of an argument against the current green industry, which is a piece of total shit. You have to understand, Derek Jensen he's a rewilder. Like, I don't really think I can call myself such. I find his philosophy to be thought-provoking, and I find myself agreeing with him a lot, especially on the structure of society and how it's inherently violent. But when it comes to his like radical environmental talking points, I don't typically find myself agreeing. What's a rewilder? Somebody that thinks that civilization needs to end and that man needs to return to the state of nature. So pre agriculture kind of societies, hunter gatherers. Phoebe's still pushing for the pipeline, Hey, I'm down for it. Whatever. I mean, if you think it's see to me the whole pipeline thing is just not a long-term solution. But I think that the long-term solution that makes the most sense is for human beings to wink out. Just blink out of existence. It's another turn for Ann Prim, kind of, yeah. Rewilder tends to be a less philosophical and more action oriented political force at least in my experience, than Ann Prims are. Like, I believe that a lot of anarcho-primitivists are just philosophers that enjoy testing the bounds of social assumption that comes with civilization. Whereas Rewilders really, advocate for these things. I mean, I don't know. I think that the pipeline to move the amount of water that you're talking about either over or through the mountains would require just a fuck ton of energy. And if we don't have a green basis for energy at that point, then, we're just kind of hurting ourselves to temporarily help ourselves. But, whatever. Be better than doing fuck all nothing. Be more apt to support it than, to poo-poo it. If I just don't think it's realistic. That's all. I mean, every mile that you add to the thing, you gotta go up and around and through the mountains to the best of your ability. But every mile that you add to this thing, the amount of power that it's going to take to push water through it is going to increase. Not to mention, just like the total cost of the project and all that. We're all gonna die. Nah. I think if you've got kids, I think they're really gonna reap the fucking benefit. Like, if you're, 40 to 20 and you've got kids, certainly they're kids. So your great grandchildren are really they're gonna reap the whirlwind. It's gonna be fucked. At least that's the way I feel about it. Child free. I mean, there's a number of things that could be done in California to reduce the amount of. You'd also need to, in my opinion, eliminate the grazing and beef industry out of California, because it's that plus an abundance of walnut, almond, and pistachio trees that are just notoriously thirsty crops that are sucking up a lot of the groundwater in California. So yeah, there's a number of limiting actions on factory farming that could be taken in order to make California a little bit less water thirsty, you know. I don't know. I've heard these numbers. I usually take that type of shit with a grain of salt, but I wouldn't be shocked if it's around there. Like I don't know if it's a single almond, but maybe a single almond tree and it's whatever its yield requires that. Kelly's being sucked dry by nuts. That's a turn of the tables. Not really. That's kind of always the way it's been. One type of nut or another, you know. But yeah, I mean, there are huge swaths of California that are, you know, sucking up water for zero yield. Like there are farmers that are paid to allow their fields to go fallow for years and years and years to keep the price of citrus up, to keep the price of nuts up, to keep the price of lettuce up. Like there are farmers that are just paid to maintain their orchard but don't pick or sell any of the fruit of that orchard for years. Yeah, Steinbeck was based. Well, I mean, take like the small single farm example or the smaller farm conglomerate example put into the Grapes of Wrath and magnify it by 10,000. And that's what California is dealing with. Magnify it to farming on a factory scale, corporate level farming. That's, you know, that's the beginning of the problem. And that's why there's no help coming for California. Like we're lucky we got the rain, but something tells me we're in for a long, dry, hot fucking summer and a long, dry fucking winter next year. And pretty soon we're going to be hearing the same fucking story. It'll be a year or less until California runs through that fucking water. Because you know it's going to be like a bonanza out there. These motherfuckers can't help themselves. These corporate fucking shills that are sitting on county water boards and shit. Oh, man, it's going to be like fucking... They're going to take every bit of that saved shit and waste it. California, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, California has more reservoirs than anywhere on the planet, including the tallest dam anywhere on the planet. So California has a fuck ton of reservoirs. They've just been running dry. And now they're all lipping full. And the powers that be that are supposed to protect that resource, knowing that the current rain pattern is likely not permanent and that California is going to go back to a very water poor state within a year, they're going to give away all those water rights. Yep. All the big farm conglomerates will be getting water rights. That water is going to flow right out of there and flow right into the fucking toilet. Gotta love it. Man. Whew. The world is depressing, dude. Talking about this type of shit. I don't feel as strong as I used to in my ability to constantly weather this shit. I think I burned myself on it. Because man, it's fucking depressing. Depressing and worrying, and ultimately there's not a fucking thing any of us can do about it. Nobody's coming to save us. And we can't even save ourselves. He's stabbing Westward fans. Probably not. I stopped listening to New in Politics for a solid year. This is the first exception because I forgot I was subscribed to your alts channel. Oh, I see. Yeah, I don't blame you, man. USA too big to govern to affect any. I mean, it's not, but we can pretend it is if that makes everybody feel better. We can pretend that it's just an impossibility. I mean, a strong government with the right priorities of conservation and, common human empathy could run this place like a fucking veritable paradise. I mean, there's enough for all. That's the thing. It may not always be the thing, but as it stands right now, there's plenty on this planet. This planet has plenty of capacity to supply a good life for every man, woman, and child living on it, and not strip mine and strip fuck the planet. But it's just very unlikely. Not factory farm the the jungle out of existence. Not destroy the natural water supply of areas by over farming. Like, there's a way that we could do it. It's possible. It's just not probable. Yeah, I mean, I feel like you're probably right. We probably are getting there, but I don't feel like we're there yet. But I feel like eventually we're gonna be way over that line. Because when this shit collapses, it is not gonna be pretty, man. Like, that's really what's at stake here. Is eventually this teeter-totter fucking house of cards that's built and maintained on the lies and greed of a tiny, tiny minority of people is going to come a tumbling down. Don't worry, I won't be around to miss your wit and pith. I'm not a laster either, so I'm not going to be in one of these weird camps of people, you know what I mean, trying to that's not going to be me. I'll be one of the zombies outside the fucking barbed wire though. Give me a high five before you blow my head off or whatever. Oh, woohoo. Isn't it wonderful? What a doomery stream this was. This was a real doomer stream. Yeah, I think I'm done. I'll see you guys next time. Yeah, bye.